This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome into the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we talk all the news in the world of sports. My name is Ben, and we have a new host in the studio joining me today. Happy New Year, happy holidays.
Happy New Year.
Pauline, she's been with the company for a while now. She's been doing a lot of the entertainment stuff?
Yeah, I did a lot of entertainment.
I know you've been doing basketball, too, and you and I will actually be teaming up on that. So
which I'm looking forward to. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Start that today, I believe.
Yep.
So I'm excited to start that as well, but you've been doing a lot of the entertainment stuff, a lot of the basketball stuff, and now I haven't seen you in like a month.
I was going to say, I know, I was on break, which was nice. I snuck in underneath the radar and got to take a little break for a month, so.
Yeah, we had all the entertainment and music and movie sort of hosts off for December.
Which was
Obviously,
so nice.
We can't do that because in sports, it's like at the end of the year is when everything starts getting good.
Well, and that's what I was, it was actually pretty funny because that's what I was surprised about with basketball is that I got even basketball off. So I'm looking forward to having you with basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is this going to be the first basketball show of the year? Have you done one yet?
Yes, first basketball show of the year.
So we
my
have
first
really
show back.
A lot to sort of update on. So that's
which is going to be fun.
That's actually good then. So I'm excited about that. But definitely, yes. So welcome in, Pauline. Going to be your first time here. What days are you going to be in here? Every single day or?
I'm going to be doing sports on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay, so because I'm not here Tuesdays, so you're riding solo Tuesdays, and then Monday you and I tag team it, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, Anthony and I. Except I won't be here Thursdays, but okay, so
Thursday I'm going to be with Anthony as well. So
okay, so you're here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So you guys are stuck with me now.
Nah, so I didn't even know the schedule, so it's kind of good that now I know. So obviously. Welcome in. I'm excited to work with you. I haven't done any shows with you, although
I know this is going to be
I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yes.
I'm excited to see how it goes. So definitely going to be really good. All right, so we'll be leading off the show talking a lot of NFL wildcard round news. A lot of headlines in the game, the sort of night game yesterday, the Giants and Packers, but we will first start in order of the games at which they were played. So Saturday, the first game of the day was the Houston Texans against the Oakland Raiders. Texans absolutely dominate this game. They win 27-14. I feel so bad for Oakland.
I was going to say, I feel just my heart. I mean, I'm a Niners fan, so like I can't feel too bad for them, but I feel bad.
Yeah,
so
Connor
like,
Cook just
he
looked so out of place in the game. He went 18 of 45, 161 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions, but their offense just could not move the ball the whole entire game.
And to get here finally and all this bad luck, I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, had they have had Derek Carr,
right.
I would have picked him in this game.
Right.
They were just if they had Derek Carr, they probably would have been the number 2 seed. I probably would have took them against Denver in Week 17, but they did lose that game. Kansas City beat San Diego, so they, of course, have the number 2 seed. Oakland has to play in the first round against Houston, and they just really looked like a team that was totally depleted. Even their head coach, Jack Del Rio, on the sidelines looked like he came into the game knowing they had no shot to win.
Yeah.
So Houston wins. Brock Osweiler, surprisingly for me, played pretty good. 168 yards, a touchdown. He also had a touchdown rushing, only 15 yards, but he did have a touchdown rushing. So he gets maybe a little bit of momentum heading into probably a disaster against the New England Patriots next week. The spread is already 15.5. So Brady's saying that, Houston is a tough team. Nothing's easy with them. Well, Vegas obviously thinks it's going to be an easy game. This is a rematch of a game that happened earlier in the season, a Thursday night matchup in Houston, which the New England Patriots shut out the Texans. So I'm not saying they're going to shut out again, but they already have a win over them, a notch on their belt. So I guess that's a good thing. But I guess Houston gets a little bit of momentum. I thought that the winner of this game was just literally a disaster waiting to happen against New England. They had the Patriots have the easiest road to host the AFC Championship game I think I've ever seen, because whether it was going to be the Raiders or the Texans, I mean, it didn't really
either
look
way.
too good.
Oh, I know. I mean, I don't feel bad, but I do feel bad for the Raiders.
I feel really bad for the Raiders. Obviously, I think they'll be back next year, get a chance to build that defense a little more, get some more chemistry. They still have a strong offensive line, which is, in my opinion, how you really build a winning team. We saw that this year, so we'll have to wait and see next year with the Raiders when they get Derek Carr healthy again. But I do feel pretty bad for them, but Houston does win at 27-14. And then the last game on Saturday, the Seattle Seahawks topped the Detroit Lions 26-6. Really an ugly game. The Seahawks were in control the whole way out. Russell Wilson throws for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
We said on Friday, or at least Anthony and I said on Friday, the Seattle Seahawks, I see them winning this game, but I didn't see them going any farther because they couldn't run the ball and their offensive line really couldn't get anything going. Well, that really was the opposite of what happened. Thomas Rawls runs for 161 yards and 1 touchdown. They just absolutely tore up Detroit, who's been their front seven's pretty good, a good team stopping the run. They just couldn't get anything going forward. Matthew Stafford, not a terrible game, 205 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Right.
They just couldn't really get anything going, and Seattle totally dominated this game. Big game from Doug Baldwin as well on the receiving core. He had 11 catches for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. So Seattle will move on next week to play the Atlanta Falcons in the Georgia Dome. That game is on Saturday. And then we move over to Sunday's games. The Miami Dolphins went in to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Steelers win this game 30-12. Big day on the ground from Le'Veon
20.
Bell. I think this is wrong. I think it was... Yeah, there's something wrong with the website.
What is going on? Yes.
So, yeah, the Steelers did win 30, but our website's saying it was 20, which was not the case. But
I mean, either way.
anyways, the game was
but
in control.
Steelers fans, yeah.
The Steelers were in control the whole way out.
Yes.
Le'Veon Bell rushes for a Pittsburgh Steelers postseason record, 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger also had 2 touchdowns, both of them coming to Antonio Brown on their first couple of series. The story for me here is Ben Roethlisberger getting injured at the end of the game. One play before he's ready to take a knee, he gets a sprained ankle. He leaves the stadium in a walking boot. Big Ben is literally a brick wall. I don't see him missing any time. He already said he's going to play next week in Kansas City. But for me, they're up 18. He's getting ready to take a knee. Why is he even in the game?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I just don't really see any positive there. Obviously, he gets a little nick, a little injury, a little sprained ankle. He's not making a big deal of it. But leaving in a walking boot, he has to at least have some sort of pain, some sort of discomfort there. So I just think that's kind of silly how he was even in the game. But nevertheless, they are going into Kansas City next week. Vegas likes them. They're a 1.5-point favorite on the road already, which is kind of surprising to me. But with how this offense is playing right now, I think you have to give them the benefit of the due. Le'Veon Bell runs extremely well yesterday. Antonio Brown's a difference maker on the outside. And Big Ben is a legend. I mean, he didn't really play too well yesterday. He only attempted 18 passes because Le'Veon Bell was dominating him. He had 29 carries. So for the Dolphins, really just let it get away early. They were down 14-0 within the first quarter. That kind of takes Jay Ajayi and the running game out of it. He only had 33 yards on 16 carries. Matt Moore got absolutely destroyed on one play by Bud Dupree. I'm not really sure how he's even standing, let alone coming back into the game. I mean, I thought he was dead. He got absolutely killed on a hit. Not really a legal hit, but nothing got really called in my eyes. But Matt Moore did return to the game. He threw for 289 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So as I mentioned, the Steelers will go on next week to face the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. Definitely a tough game, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And then the nightcap of the playoffs yesterday, in the game that I thought coming in would be honestly the best game, and I think it was, but every game really, really lopsided in the first round of the playoffs here. All 4 home teams win. The Green Bay Packers beat the New York Giants 38-13. Aaron Rodgers, it might have been like 12 degrees in the stadium in Green Bay, and the real feel was like 1 or 2.
They were like saying like 2, yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers was absolutely red hot. The first quarter and a half, not too good. The Giants' defense was really getting to him. He got sacked 5 times in the game. The secondary really locked down those Packers receivers. But from about halfway through the second quarter on, he probably played one of the best quarterback games I've seen in a really long time. Throws 362 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them coming to Randall Cobb. The one downfall here is Jordy Nelson did leave the game in the first quarter. Looks like a rib injury. He took a helmet right to the ribs, which is never good. Reports are coming out that he's going to get a scan today. Looks like maybe some broken ribs in there, possibly some sort of spleen issue, which would definitely keep him out for the rest of the playoffs.
Say, yeah, that'd be
no good. But
yeah.
So not a good day for Jordy Nelson, but the other Packers receivers step up. I mentioned Randall Cobb with the 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers yet again with a Hail Mary right before halftime. He is the king of the Hail Marys. There's death, taxes, and Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a Hail Mary. Those are 3 guarantees in life. We saw it last year in the playoffs against Arizona. We saw it midway through the season last year against Detroit. I don't know what it is, but this guy just has a way of doing it. I mean, he's literally the GOAT when it comes to the Hail Mary. But anyways, so with the Packers win, that's all great and all. They will take on Dallas next week. But the big storyline of the game here is the king, the captain of the yacht club, Odell Beckham Jr. So Odell Beckham Jr., of course, making headlines.
Odell.
Making headlines on Monday with a few members of his receiving corps, going down to Miami, going to South Beach, partying on the yacht with Bieber and Manziel.
Right.
Making some headlines, talking about how it's not a distraction. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be, and I still don't think this game has anything to do with that. But he's going to be talked about because of how he played yesterday. Odell Beckham had 4 catches for 28 yards. He was targeted 11 times, and he goes down with having 2 drops. But honestly, to me, it was 3. He dropped a clear touchdown. He dropped a first down pass in the first quarter, and he dropped what would have been a big play when they were trailing in the second half. Addition to Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, part of the yacht club, he drops a touchdown. He had a good day, 4 catches, 63 yards. He drops a touchdown. He drops a first down within the red zone that would have maybe turned 3 points into 7. A couple of drops from Sterling Shepard, a couple of drops from Odell Beckham. Does his off-the-field traveling to Miami antics have anything to do with this game?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so.
Why?
Clearly. Honestly, he probably thinks that it doesn't, but any extracurriculars eventually will catch up with you.
To me, it has nothing to do with the game, but for me, 2 things. If you're going to go out there and party and sort of spend your off day, however you do, that's up to you.
Correct.
But in the biggest game that you've ever played, because this is Odell Beckham's first ever playoff game, in the biggest game you've ever played, you cannot go out there and do that.
Right, yes, yes.
You cannot go out there, drop a clear touchdown, drop a first down, drop, in my eyes, another pass, although Eli did maybe overthrow him a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we've seen Odell Beckham with the one-handed grabs and the flashy plays and the touchdown dances and the punt returns and who he is. Great player, but you can't go out there in the biggest game of your career so far and put up those numbers. You just cannot do that. So, distraction or not, everyone's going to be talking about it. And then after the game, we have vintage Odell Beckham.
I was going to say.
He's a great player, right? Great player. Top 3 receiver in my eyes. Arguably as good as Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. But for me, I would get rid of him tomorrow if I was a member. If I was the Giants front office, I would trade him tomorrow. You'd get the world for him. You'd get at least a couple of first-round picks, maybe 3. But for me, it's his off-the-field stuff and his post-game. So he goes in, he handles the media pretty good. I mean, he had a nice little press conference, talked about the boat, everything, how it wasn't a distraction. But then after that, he kind of has one of those vintage Odell Beckham tirades. He punches a wall in one of the facilities in Green Bay. He's reportedly headbutting the wall back and forth. Like, what are you doing?
That's just not, that's just not okay.
What are you doing, man? He's all about Odell Beckham. They could lose the game, and he could go out there and have 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, and everything would be hunky-dory.
I think he has some other things he needs to, take
He needs
care of.
to address something.
Yes.
For me, I would trade him tomorrow. He's an off-the-field nightmare distraction.
Yes.
He's over here punching, kicking nets, and then he's engaging them and marrying them, and now he's headbutting walls and punching holes in walls and partying without a shirt on with Justin Bieber. And the guy, to me, is just
he's got the world in his hands,
He's like a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything,
For me, that's why I would get rid of him. He's just a distraction. You could get the world for him. Eli Manning's won 2 Super Bowls without him.
He's too much of a...
This was their first playoff appearance with Odell Beckham, and it didn't really go well. They just blew their opportunities. They were dominating this game in the first half. They were only up 6-0. Then Green Bay scores through Devontae Adams, and they get the Hail Mary right before halftime and just changed all momentum completely. and Aaron Rodgers never looked back from there. So he will go into Dallas to take on the number 1 seed in the NFC on Sunday. We will wait to preview the sort of playoff games until Friday. So with that, we'll take our first break of the show. After the break, we'll talk some basketball. We have James Harden with a triple-double, or maybe you could say a quadruple-double if you put it right.
Dependent.
We have Grayson Allen possibly tripping more players, and Nevada pulling up literally the upset of maybe the week we've seen so far and within the last minute. So we'll take our first break at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back into the show. Last night, James Harden, a 129-122 win as part of his Rockets' victory over the Toronto Raptors. Rockets are 30-9 now under Mike D'Antoni. Really, really surprised. Been, to me, the surprise team of the year. At the start of the season, I thought it would be the Timberwolves. Well, I mean, they're having a surprising year, but kind of on the other side. I thought they'd be a breakout team, but they're honestly just in turmoil. I feel bad for them.
Me too.
Maybe they're like a year away. Maybe we thought that we
they're on like the build-up.
Drank the Timberwolves Kool-Aid a little too early. But so last night, James Harden, another great game, 40 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, nice little triple-double. But if you look at it, he maybe had a quadruple-double because he had 10 turnovers as well. So not too good there, James.
It sounds nice until you break it down.
Not too good there, James. But anyways, I mean, he did have one more assist and turnover, so I guess you can say he's doing a little more, but he's really excelling in this distributor role under Mike D'Antoni. Would you give him the MVP right now or Russell Westbrook? Because I think those two are really the favorites in my eyes. That's really where it comes down to.
I'm always going to pick Westbrook.
Really? I'd go with Harden right now, honestly.
I love him, though.
We saw what happened a few nights ago when they went up head-to-head. Russell Westbrook, a great game. He had 49 points, but Harden did obviously laugh last because they won the game.
Right.
And for me, in that game specifically, we saw some growing up from James Harden because the game was tied.
Okay.
Last few seconds. He kind of isolates. Normally, you'd, of course, see him take the shot, but he dishes it to Nene, who gets fouled, makes the 2 free throws, and gives them the victory. You would never see Russell Westbrook passing that ball, right?
No.
So for me, that's why I think you
But that's why I like Westbrook. No.
I get it, but that's why, to me, I see a little growing up there in Harden.
Okay.
And I think...
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, 10 turnovers last night, not great, but he's not going to do that every night.
We'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have off days, okay?
But 10 is a lot.
But to me, that's like kind of a little growing up there, and 30-9, a better record than the Thunder.
True.
I'd say probably a better team, but going into the season, you probably wouldn't have thought that.
No.
I think the three-point shot is the ultimate equalizer for the Rockets. You know, before the game last night, they were shooting three-pointers at an all-time historic rate. 46% of their shots are three-pointers right now. It's the ultimate equalizer. Harden made 4 of them last night. He took 9 of them. Shot 50% last night, which is pretty good. He had a couple of blocks, a couple of steals, which kind of surprising to me because I've always looked at James Harden as a guy who can't even guard his own shadow.
Yes.
Let alone
or even
get a
want
couple
to.
of steals and a couple of blocks. So not a bad night against Toronto, a good team, probably second or third in the Eastern Conference, depending on where you look at it. So, I mean, I guess that's not a bad night for Jamesy and the rest of the Rockets. So pretty good there. All right, so moving on Saturday, Grayson Allen obviously back. He's back for his second game now after, I mean, to me, an indefinite suspension should last more than one game. But I guess because they did have some off time, Duke didn't play for a couple of weeks with a winter break sort of period. So I guess you can say, oh, he was off for 3 weeks. We got him some help. I guess that's kind of indefinite. But to me, more than one game should be an indefinite suspension.
I agree.
But anyways, he returns, has a second game against Florida State, which he's had some issues against before with the tripping incidents. And possibly we could have another one. So in their game on Saturday, at home against Florida State. They're up by 20 at the time, so it's not like it's a close game.
Right, there's no need for
because
this.
you do remember the one game Grayson Allen did miss for Duke. They lost by 14 points. Then he comes back to the lineup. They win. They win on Saturday as well. But do we have another tripping incident? The ACC has come out and said that it's inconclusive, which I kind of have to agree with. So obviously you can't see the play, so we kind of have to walk you through exactly what happened. So Grayson Allen was guarding his defender at the top of the key, basically. He comes off and gets a screen, so he kind of gets hit kind of hard. Grayson Allen, kind of a smaller guy, about 6'2", 6'3", doesn't really weigh much, so he's not really bulky. Kind of gets hit a little too hard, falls forward, but he sticks his back leg out. The defender, or I guess you can say he's the defender, the guy on offense, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but he does not fall down, which to me, I would have fallen down.
I definitely would have been dramatic with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would have tried to draw something.
Yes.
So he doesn't
especially
go
knowing
down.
this guy's history, I for sure.
Exactly. So I would have gone down, but he did not go down. Obviously, I guess you could say a little credit there, not flopping or anything. But so he doesn't go down, but Allen kind of sticks out his back leg, looks kind of to me as if there might be another trip there or not. But the ACC comes out and says nothing is inconclusive, which is nothing is determined that it's intentional, so they're not going to do anything about it, which I think is the right decision because you can't tell if it's on purpose
you can't
or not.
really tell, but I think he...
You think he did it again?
I think he was attempting. It just didn't follow through.
Given his history, I think you have to say he was. This is almost like the boy who cried wolf.
It's like, yes, yeah.
Every time he cries wolf and it's not there, you have to assume that he's doing it again and nothing's there.
On purpose, yeah.
I think this is the same thing with Allen here. I think this kid needs serious help. Well, to me, this is...
And it's like one of those things, I feel like it's almost like just a habit now.
Exactly.
So even if he really wasn't really trying to do it, he's doing it.
And to me, this is one of those classics, and I don't want to put it this way because he is a white player, but to me, this is one of those classic, like, spoiled rich boy stories. Because if you look at... If you look at Allen's history, where's he coming from? He's coming from New Jersey, prep school, probably babied his whole life. You know what I mean? He's privileged. He's coming from a private school, good player, going to Duke. He's a junior now. He's not like he's a 19-year-old freshman. He's 21 years old. He still, to me, has not really grown up. Came up privileged, came up getting everything he ever wanted. Came up really, really good at basketball. One of those kids where we see it all the time when you're like 12, 13. It might be 5-on-5, but that one kid is literally better than the other five combined, so he wins it single-handedly. We probably had that with him growing up through the AAU ranks and everything. So he's one of those classic, like, good players, spoiled, gets everything his way. When things don't go his way, he has to kind of act out. To me, that's, I think, what Grayson Allen is, and that's why I say if he goes to the NBA next year, I wouldn't even draft him.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like, the talent's there. He'd probably be like a late first rounder, early second rounder, so maybe make a team, maybe go down to the D League if he has to. But for me, I wouldn't even give him any consideration at all. I think he did it again. I think if
you get a chance to look at the video, I mean, you could definitely judge for yourself, but it looks like it to me. It just didn't. Yeah, I would. Me too.
I mean, I would have gone down. I would have held my leg.
I would have
soccer. One of those dramatic soccer.
Yes.
I would have went down holding my leg.
Rolled around a couple times.
Maybe got up limping a little bit. I would have done that, but that's not the case. Duke does win. We'll have to see if hopefully Grayson Allen can turn it around and not have any more tripping incidents. But have to wait and see how it goes. And then last before our break, Nevada last night pulls off not necessarily an upset because New Mexico and Nevada are both unranked, but maybe the shock of the century. New Mexico, with just over a minute left, was winning 90-76. So you're thinking, oh, wow, you're up 14,
this is
a
done.
little over a minute. It's a wrap.
Yep. People leaving the stands, go onto the car.
Exactly. What if I told you, by the time the game ended, Nevada wins 105-104 in overtime? You probably would have looked at me.
I'd be like, no.
Probably looked at me and said, I'm crazy. Well, I'm not crazy. That was the final score. Nevada pulls off a 14-point comeback with just over a minute left to force overtime, which, of course, then they go in and win in overtime because they have all the momentum in the world.
Now they're, like, hyped up. Yes, right.
They did this on the road as well. The game was in New Mexico, which is kind of shocking. But anyways, they're down 14. with just over a minute left and pull off the upset. They hit like 4 3-pointers right away. New Mexico misses a ton of free throws. And then you have Nevada hitting a 3-pointer off the glass with just a few seconds left. New Mexico does not make the game-winning bucket before overtime is forced. And then Nevada goes in and wins it in overtime. Is this the greatest comeback we've seen?
It's just so fun.
This
Even
is
just
college
listening
basketball.
to you tell it, it's fun.
Imagine this in March.
I was going to say, and this is what I love about like college basketball, and especially during March, because stuff like this happens all day long in March.
This
Every
happens
single
every
day,
year.
every game. Yes, and so
This is like we're getting kind of like
like
an
a preview. Yes,
before the
nice
main
little
course.
preview.
And this is why, to me, in all of sports, the most exciting thing to me is March Madness.
Yes,
Because it's only one game.
anything can happen, and
If you have a
and
number
it does not
3
matter
seed
what you're
against-
seeded. Yep,
If you have a number 3 seed against number 14 seed and they play a series, that number 3 seed is going to win every time.
right.
But in one game,
Anything,
literally anything happens.
and it's
to
so
me,
much fun.
That's why March Madness is the most exciting thing in all of sports, because you have the uncertainties. Think about a few years back. We had Butler as an 8 seed and a 9 seed in the national title back-to-back years. We had VCU in the Final Four as an 11 seed when they were playing in
It's like, why
the
not?
first 4 games. So they weren't even in the tournament. They had to win a play-in game to get in.
Right,
and
right.
then they're in the Final Four. So for me, this is why March Madness is the most exciting thing. And
It's
I love
so
it so
fun.
much.
It's so fun.
It's the greatest thing. Nevada pulls off the upset last night, 105-104. Kind of like Reggie Miller-esque. Remember when he did it against
Oh
the Knicks?
yes.
What did
yes.
he have? I think 8 points in like 30 seconds. This was obviously more.
And I
but
was thinking of one of my favorite classic Tracy McGrady.
I remember that too.
Yes,
I was going to say
just
him next.
back-to-back threes.
He was on the Rockets, I believe,
Yep.
at that time, and he did similar things.
Yes.
So, anyways, Nevada
so
pulls off
good.
the upset. We'll take our last break.
So
After the
good.
break, we are going to preview the national championship game tonight in college football, a rematch of last year, Alabama against Clemson, who we think wins, and more, right after the break at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we will end the show previewing the national championship game. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Clemson. Rematch of the title game last year, a game the Tide did win 45-40. Pauline, are they going to do it again?
45-40.
Does
Yes,
Alabama win
I'm going to
again?
say
Yeah?
yes. Which, honestly, I'm really bad at predictions, so if you're an Alabama fan,
okay.
I'm always opposite of what happens.
Okay, so you're bad at predictions.
I'm terrible.
On this show, I have literally been a kiss of death. If
Yes.
I predict you,
You're automatic going to
you're
lose.
done. I
Like-
kind of have to give myself a pat on the back because on Friday, the 4 playoff games we predicted in the NFL, I got them all right.
Oh, okay.
I was the only one. Anthony and Jeremiah both took the Giants. I took Green Bay. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we all were in agreement. So I got all 4 games right. So I kind of had to
wow.
give myself I had a little tear coming down. But
Yes.
from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the cop, I made sure it couldn't go down. I had to get that tear
Yeah.
back in. I was a little happy, but I couldn't be too happy because I did pick all 4 favorites. So
Okay.
okay, but
No,
obviously I was
I'm
right.
bad.
I'm terrible.
Okay,
last
especially
year- okay,
and
March
on
Madness,
basketball,
right?
everything that I say, it's the complete opposite.
March
and I'm just
Madness
like, all
last
right.
year, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I took Michigan State. They lost in the first
No,
round.
yes, I took Michigan State too, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you?" I was like, "Valentine." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
I was like, "I'm done." I
when
was
it
like,
comes
"All
to
right."
predictions,
All right.
you can just kind of count me out. I
was like, "Thanks, Denzel.
I'm
no problem."
I'm
Thank you.
literally terrible with them. So
So just do exact opposite of what I say. So probably now the Clemson's got this.
But you know what?
I'll say
Probably.
Clemson, then you can say, and then we'll just.
One of us will be right then. We'll have to just set it up because one of us will be right. But no, I'm going to take Alabama as well.
Oh.
I just can't bet against two things. Number one, Nick Saban. He's 4-0 in national title games, so he's looking to be 5-0 in title games. So he has the edge there. Dabo Swinney's a pretty good coach as well, really underrated in my eyes, but I'm not going to bet against Saban. I never can. So that's number one. And number two, I can't bet against this defense because it is historically great.
Yeah.
The front seven, led by Jonathan Allen, he's a run stopper, he's a pass rusher, he's literally everything on that defensive line. But that front seven, I just simply cannot bet against. So I'm going to take Alabama because of their defense. But to me, Alabama is coming into this game with more question marks than Clemson is. And I say that because of Steve Sarkisian taking over the play calling duties since Lane Kiffin, I guess you can say, resigned. But did Nick Saban kind of get him out of the door early before he goes off to FAU to be the head coach next year? Or did Lane Kiffin really resign? I think there's some question marks there. I think it was more so Saban than Kiffin, but who knows? I'll have to wait and see. So, can Steve Sarkisian, who's been with them pretty much all year long as kind of like a offensive analyst, specialist, whatever that role means. To me, it means he's kind of standing there and just offensive coordinator in waiting, because we knew when Nick Saban brought in Steve Sarkisian, he's just a step ahead of the game.
Right.
He comes from a Belichick pedigree of coaching, so he knows what he's doing. He's kind of a step ahead of the game. He knows that Saban's going to be an offensive coordinator at a bigger school next year or a head coach, so he's going to bring in his offensive coordinator in waiting in Steve Sarkisian. That's exactly what he did. So to me, he's been there all year long, but he's never called plays in any game all year long, and now he has to go out and do it against probably the best team they're going to play all year long in the game that means the most. This is the national championship game. So to me, can Steve Sarkisian do enough with this offense to not lose the game? Because simply, that's all they have to do. This defense is so good. The offense just has to not lose it.
Right.
And you have Jalen Hurts, the true freshman. How will he handle the national title game? A great runner, not so good of a thrower. But how can he handle this national title game? I expect them to lean on Bo Scarborough. He had a great game against Washington, a couple of touchdowns and over 150 yards rushing. So I would expect them to lean on Scarborough. I think Alabama wins a close one. The spread is 7. I think Clemson covers that. Last year they did. It was a shootout. I wouldn't say it's a shootout this year. I think the first team, if the team gets 30, I think they win it. I think the first team maybe like 24, 27 wins the game. I'm going to take Alabama in a close one. Deshaun Watson is ready. He's primed. He's hungry, especially after the performance he had last year in the title game, over 400 yards of total offense. So I'm going to take Alabama close, and knowing Pauline and I's record,
I was going to say that means the Tigers are going to pull off an upset. They're just going to be completely...
probably pull off the upset, and it'll probably be because the Alabama defense got tore up, because that's what I said they weren't going to do.
I was going to say because of exactly what we just said.
But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, you will be talking about it tomorrow, recapping the game. After last year's game, it's got huge expectations. Last year's game came down to the wire, and it was probably the best national championship game I've seen. Probably one of the best bowl games I've seen since Vince Young against USC in the Rose Bowl. That was a fantastic game. And then the Rose Bowl this year was even great, too, between USC and Penn State.
It was a lot of fun.
Definitely the highest scoring Rose Bowl ever, 52-49. But so I'm going to take Alabama as well as Pauline. I just can't bet against this defense.
Hopefully we'll have a good report tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'll probably text you tonight like, well, we were wrong. Like always.
Yes.
Like KOD, hashtag kiss of death.
Yes.
Pauline and myself.
Yes.
But anyways, guys, that's going to end the show for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening. My name is Ben.
I'm Pauline.
And Pauline will see you tomorrow. I will see you again on Wednesday with Anthony. And I hope you have a good day. This is us signing off at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Goodbye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.